Welcome to
Welcome.
God Talk. That's the name of Michael Mack's show.
Yeah.
Michael Mack can't make it tonight, and we're attempting to fill such large shoes, but we'll do the best we can.
All right.
And we're continuing our discussion about herbs that can heal. And we just attended a workshop at Rowe Conference Center where Rosemary Gladstar, for 2 days of intensive meetings, revealed to us how our life can be way better when we can let the plants help heal us of colds and other things. Michelle's going to keep the conversation going that we had for the first half hour.
Okay. Yeah. So, this is Rosemary Gladstar's one of her many, many books that she wrote. You can see, and she has a place called Sage Mountain in Vermont. It's a retreat center, and they propagate herbs. So, anyways, I thought we could talk about the different preparations of herbs. We did just talk about immune enhancing tincture for trying to prevent colds, the first section. And so I thought we would talk about, one thing that was interesting was how she brought up in Chinese medicine, often the doctor is hired to keep you well, rather than just visiting the doctor when you are sick. And so really they really specialize a lot in adaptogen herbs, which are foundational type herbs that nourish. And the unique property of an adaptogen is that they provide harmony in the body.
Could you explain a little bit what does it mean for harmony in the body?
Yeah. So, I can give you examples of some adaptogens. So some adaptogens are holy basil, which was used in India a lot, but it's used pretty prevalently. Astragalus root, nettle, which is grown in New England, that it grows well in New England. Ashwagandha.
Wow. Wow. Memory like a vice. Wonder what she's taking for her memory.
So she kind of went over that there are three classes of herbs, and there's one kind of unique class, which that's the one class that you have to be aware of using very carefully. So those are often the ones that end in EIN, E-I-N or I-N-E, so that would be like caffeine, codeine, heroin, but also kava was in that class. So they're kind of a few and far between in some regards. It's good to know they have a lot of glycosides and I think it was aminosides and glycosides, I believe.
What is a glycoside?
I don't know, but she said that's what they have in that class, and that you need to be careful about that and use it, consciously, and probably not repeatedly, like with an adaptogen. So another class is the adaptogens, which is a big class, and then the other class, I forget what that other class was. Do you remember?
No.
It's on the first page of my notes here. But I think it was tonics, actually. Yeah, tonics. They're milder. So these are herbs that really, unless you happen to have an allergic reaction, and typically with herbs you're going to have it's not like having anaphylaxis like you might have in allopathic medicine where you have such a strong reaction, because really allopathic medicine is very strong and it's often trying to treat a symptom, whereas herbs often are longer term. You know, you don't maybe not have, maybe, although she gave some examples of real direct experiences, like with her sinus. She used a,
What is she?
golden seal.
Yeah, and she mistakenly inhaled it
Yeah, she
rather
thought.
than used it as a salve.
No, yeah, no.
I like, before we make sure we get in, there are certain things you can take every day.
Well, right. So that's what I was going to say. With
Yeah.
the adaptogens,
And tell the people what an adaptogen is.
I just did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I said it was. So adaptogens they're foundational, and they create harmony in the body, and they just kind of create well-being in general. So
Like the prayer, may all beings be well.
yeah. So those are herbs that you could take, you know, throughout the day. And she was recommending, like, to have a tea of, if you want to work with that particular herb, to take it 3 times a day.
Is that true?
And then have 5 days on and 2 days off.
I don't think that's quite right. I think we keep differing about this.
Okay, sure.
I think the adaptogens is just once a day, unless you have a specific illness that you're trying to cure, like we said, and the echinacea if you have a cold, if even every 2 hours. But I don't think the adaptogens are, I think they're once a morning, I believe.
Okay, well, it depends on what...
So you have 2 schools of thought here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm following a fast that recommends that I take the nettle tea 4 times a day for 1 to 2 weeks before and 1 to 2 weeks after. So that's an intense focus in using nettle.
But what about if I'm just trying to, you have a particular end in sight, and then I understand that.
Yeah.
It's a challenging fast.
Yeah.
But I don't think she recommends taking nettle tea 3 times a day. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a morning, I'm looking forward to this in the morning. And you can tell us what you are.
Yeah.
Want to. It's a tonic for people who are worried about losing their memory. It's called Rosemary's Tonic. You don't need this yet, because you all saw what a great memory Michelle has. And Healing Spirits, I was told to buy it. I could get in touch with Healing Spirits and ask for Andrea to make a quart of this tonic. It's a brain tonic. And this I would have every day once.
Memory, yeah.
Yes.
Memory.
And then there's she would like us to have lemon in warm water every morning, right? A squeezed lemon?
Yeah, she recommends that as one healthy habit that can help.
What does that do for us?
Well, I think it stimulates, I think it's a stimulant, so I'm not sure.
Not a cleanser.
Well, I think it's also a cleanser, because
Yeah.
I know for diets that it's recommended to do that, and I'm trying the vinegar in the water instead of,
Are you going to have the lemon in apple cider vinegar?
not the lemon, but I'm going to have the apple cider vinegar
Straight or in water?
in water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to try these things.
Yeah.
And you have to do them well, check in to see.
Yeah. So do you remember what was in the memory tonic? Because I think it was rosemary.
Wow.
And it was ginkgo.
Yes, for sure.
And then it was one other G herb.
Garantula, and that's not quite right. No.
No.
Garula.
No, it's a common one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could Google Rosemary's Tonic. So
Yeah.
so a morning regimen of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. Squeeze. Is it both?
So we said ginseng, and it was ginseng.
Oh yes.
Ginseng and ginkgo, and then right, and the Siberian ginseng is easier to grow.
I can't wait to have a memory like yours when I grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are morning things that really can help us through the day.
Mm-hmm.
Different than the cold medicine. You want to tell about the salves?
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we made some salves, and so these are two that I have here. So one is made with comfrey, and calendula, and how it was made was not boiling actually. You have to be super careful with the oil not to burn it because it can burn, but you bring it to heat, ideally in a double boiler, and you watch it super carefully, and you can bring it up to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, I think it's just pretty warm, but you don't want to boil it. And so you have the herbs in there. So she used comfrey, which is very healing. In fact, Rosemary had healed a severe fracture of her leg, which she did not have a good prognosis of being able to use again. And she really used that comfrey, which can help heal tissue. And so anyways, it's very soothing and healing. And then the calendula, and
tell people what calendula is.
it's like a marigold type flower. And so you kind of wilt the plant a little bit, or you can buy the dried plant, for example, at Cambridge Naturals. And you put it in the oil, you heat it to 220 degrees Fahrenheit, ideal in a double boiler, but you don't want to boil. And you do that, I don't remember how long, but not too long because you don't want it to boil. And then you strain it all out.
But you can get the specifics from Rosemary Gladstar's website,
or
I'm
go
sure.
online.
Or buy her book.
Yeah.
There's many, including
And then you add, you can get beeswax, and you can get little pellets of beeswax, which are better than, or you can shave beeswax, and you mix that up in the warm liquid with the oil, and then you pour it into jars. So it's good if you have the ratio of what you need to make. But it's super nice. It's just amazing when you make it yourself, really, the quality that comes out. What's interesting is they just had come back from a whole weekend, or an extensive workshop on using cannabis. And it was interesting because there's someone there who had also worked with cannabis, and apparently the strain that is particularly helpful with pain is CBD. And
what is that? Is that a particular strain of?
It's the constituent in the cannabis plant itself, and so there's a certain strain that doesn't have the THC is the component that makes it more of a hallucinogen.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the CBC is another healing component, and so some plants don't really have as much of the THC. They have more of the CBC, I guess, CBD. And so anyhow, I sat next to this woman who, she's been helping her father who uses OxyContin for bone pain. I don't know what kind of cancer it is, but it has gone to his bone. Bone pain is one of the more painful pains. And this has totally helped him. She puts it in his margarine on his mashed potatoes, and she makes it herself. She grows the plant herself. She actually had a beautiful one poached. Someone came and took it right off of her front, like in a garden that was on her, close to her house. So there's a real concern of poaching, I guess, in this whole world. But she has been doing this, and it is the one thing that has totally helped him. But they made a salve with CBD. It's right here. I'm a little nervous to try it. But
And it's for help with pain, right?
It helps with pain.
And you're nervous because?
I just don't know how my body's gonna react, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
We don't know
just-
with all of these, right? Even the
Yeah,
things
you
we're
take
eating.
you take
You check it out.
right. You try in little doses, and you see, you try to feel these things out and see what you're attracted to, and see how it works for you. So yeah, definitely. So some other ways that you can use herbs are also, so this is like a salve, an ointment, or a balm. So that's often good for like irritated skin, or if you want to use your skin as a route to administer the medication. So in this example, it's getting it for pain into your body. You can also take baths with herbs to get it into your body.
Wow.
So we actually didn't talk much about that. I look forward to looking into that, but some herbal practices used foot baths and hand baths to get the herb in the body. So thought that was cool. Or poultices. So they did talk about like if you have a earache, to which I get earaches, so I
yes.
will be curious about doing this, where you can take like mullein flowers. I don't know if you know what mullein looks like. I should look this up because mullein is everywhere. It often helps heal land that has been like bulldozed or
And these plants, like dandelion, they are they don't give up. Rosemary said they're tenacious.
yeah. So here's some. That's mullein. I'll show you a close-up picture. The leaf is very fluffy, and it's just this beautiful tall plant. Here's an example of it growing in a wasteland sort of area. I've always liked mullein because someone once described it to me. There it is. It's so tall. Those flowers there are great for, these flowers here are good for earaches. So a poultice can be used, for example, with those flowers.
And how do you make the poultice?
You can probably get at Cambridge Naturals, I don't know.
And how do you make the poultice?
Or you can, if you know the plant, you can go get it. It's good to know where it's grown because then the soil, it picks up stuff from the soil. So if it's in kind of a not good soil or near a lot of traffic, it's probably best not to use that, but you do what you can and what works for you at the time. So you can wrap it up in a hot cloth and put it on your ear.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, one idea was to heat salt in a pan, and the hot salt to put it on a cloth, and a damp cloth that's warm, and put that hot salt on there, and then you put it, especially if it's if it's a wet type ear, maybe, I don't know what they meant by that, but maybe if you have a lot of fluid in your ear, that it can help by putting that poultice on. And then the mullein, I think mullein is often used with oil, in hot oil or warm oil, and then you can put a couple drops. So they do that with babies. Obviously the baby, they were describing how often a baby gets a ear infection at around 3 in the morning. So those are poultices, and then of course capsules, which they were saying really, it's, you try different ways that are going to work for you if you're working with an herb. But oftentimes herbs, the constituents are pulled out probably best in a tea with the water, because often for most herbs they're water soluble and that really draws out a
And
lot.
they have a fancy word I didn't know. Infusion is the same word as tea.
Uh-huh.
And concoction is simmering. You simmer an herb.
Yeah, decoction. What's that? Well, yeah, decoction.
We still have 6.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's often, you want to do that usually with roots that are thick and tough. So you might simmer that for like 20 minutes and then let it sit.
And sometimes they're good to
yeah.
taste. They just passed around burdock root. It was delicious. Just a little taste of burdock root.
Yeah.
Because you can feel the energy in these herbs.
Right, it is true. Yeah, we made, and also, you know, using herbs ideally in food. So that's, you know, for example, I mean, which we already know, you know, most of us do anyways, which like garlic, which is very immune enhancing and antibacterial. Ginger, which creates good circulation, and
Oh, that's what it is.
it's warming.
And what is turmeric?
And-
Turmeric is anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, so we made some yummy stuff. We
Oh
made,
my, you're going to tell them, huh?
We made let's see, so we made kind of like protein bars, but they had a lot of turmeric in them. So it was a nut butter, a couple nut butters.
And the way we made nut butter was just ground up nuts. And
Yeah, it was like, she said some, in the past she'd used peanut butter, but she wasn't using it because someone had been allergic. So
Yeah.
she used kind of more expensive, which was tahini, I think, and
it's delicious.
and I forget what the other nut butter was, but you know, a nut butter, a couple nut butters,
And
and then
added raw chocolate.
and raw chocolate, which of
cacao.
course is yummy. Yeah. But and then she added, you know, she said you can add whatever herb you're working with. So she added turmeric and I don't remember what else.
Some of the adaptogens, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember specifically.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to get people to eat the herbs if they wouldn't. I thought I do like them straight, I think.
Like in a smoothie, you mean, or
Yes, or sometimes maybe just chewing them. Some of them you can just chew, I think. No?
yeah, maybe.
You don't-
Yeah, like burdock root, you can chop up in a soup, and
Yeah.
which is good. Yeah.
So we have 4
Yeah.
more minutes to remind ourselves and you of how to be healthy by eating or drinking these herbs, using them as salves, bathing in them, yes?
Yep, foot or hand bath. Tinctures, so that's what we talked about in the first class, how to make an echinacea tincture.
Yes.
You know, so it can be an alcohol or glycerin base.
And remind us again, how do they make the tincture? Us meaning me. How do we make the tincture? I need that tonic for memory.
Uh-huh.
I'm just giving you an example. This is a before and after show. This is me before.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's covering it with like vodka, brandy or rum. If you can't tolerate, you know, if it's a kid or you have liver issues, really the alcohol is the best drawer outer of the properties of the herb. But you can also use glycerin. I forget what some other things were.
Oh, I'm so glad you forgot.
Yeah,
Sue.
glycerin or, yeah. So, but basically it's a 4 to 6 week soaking into alcohol. It can last
And,
pretty,
shaking every day.
yeah, agitating every day with intention.
And we don't just agitate. You could try this with people you care for too. If you shake them up, if you never felt like shaking me, I'm sure, because I've never irritated you at all. But if you feel like shaking people, You can shake them with or shaking the herbs really. Shake them with the intention of, I guess, gratitude. Thank you for offering your life for healing, right?
Yep, gratitude and intention, what you want to use it.
And I'd like you to cheer you on for healing, helping heal us, something like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you'll be healing for myself and my family.
And you'll become part of us. You'll be part of the team,
Yeah.
Schou Scout team.
Yeah, which is quite amazing to do that for 6 weeks every day. I can imagine the power that's created.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with that intention and spending time with it, and then you go to use it when you need it. That's pretty neat.
I have a friend of mine when he
that.
prays, Terry Nicely. Thank you, food. Thank you for helping nourish us and help us grow and give us enjoyment. Thank you, farmers, for growing it and bringing it here. I guess that would change the food, probably. The intention, they've done prayers. Some scientists claim that if you pray over water, you can change the water molecules and how they interact with themselves. So imagine doing this with these herbs that can heal anyway, and then thanking them for, oh, I can't wait to get better and better. We have only 20 more seconds. Michelle,
Okay.
how would you like to say goodbye to our audience and to this healing show?
Okay, well, may we be well and happy and remember the gifts that the earth that we're in relationship with.